us a call.
You gotta keep on caring. As long as you've got a voice, don't ever stop. As long as you've got truth, don't ever stop.
You're on the air.
As long as you've got love.
What's on your mind?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
What do you think?
I don't know what I think. That's the bottom line. I just don't know what I think. We've had so many guests and so many big guests, and now I'm going to top it off with this morning with the lieutenant governor right here this morning. I'm sure she's going to fill us in. Whoops. I don't know what I think here this morning. I tell you what, I got so many guests that have been coming on this week. It's just been wild and crazy. But I am excited to tell you that I have our Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evette, from the great state of South Carolina, keeping things under control around the state. She travels around. She's always there. She's a business background, and she brings so much good to our state. I am proud to have her on the radio with me this morning. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good, my friend. I hope you guys are all doing good in Greenwood. Summer's here, the warm weather. It's always my happiest time of the year.
I know, but have you had some of the storms that we've been having? We've had some pretty heavy-duty storms this last weekend. It's been wild and crazy.
You know, what do they say? Spring showers, blah, blah, blah.
Bring May flowers.
And there's something but we're already in June, so we've passed that. Maybe it's going to make our June flowers prettier, but we have had some big storms. I've been down at the coast when some storms have rolled in and rolled out, and the good thing is maybe they'll push off letting us know we're in a drought until mid-July instead of July 4th, right? With the amount of rain we've been getting.
Don't you always find that amazing? Oh, we're in a drought, and you're going, excuse me, we just had X amount of rain here. They always seem to say that. It blows my mind.
But I tell you, I love our farmers, and, I don't know what we'd do without them. And this rain that we've had and just the steady amount of rain, not the big storms, that's always hard on crops, but just the steady amount of rain we had, I know that our cotton farmers and our corn and they are just ecstatic with the weather we've had. So hopefully we're going to see a good crop this summer, and our farmers are going to be happy, and we'll have all kinds of fresh fruit and vegetables to buy.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. I got, the budget has been signed by the governor. And
yes.
I know there were very few, and I'm going to jump right in because this is something that's really been bothering me, Pamela Evette.
Okay.
Signed the budget and approved it. But I was very upset with the way that the salary, it's not a salary, but it sure seems like in-district expense was boosted up for our senators, for our legislators, our senators in the House of Representatives. And now there's a lawsuit. I'm curious where you feel that this is. I've had Alan Wilson on this week. I've talked to all different kinds of people about it. But what do you think about just adding this with that little conference committee just saying, and did it have something to do that they found all this, another, $1 billion in the tax coffers, and they went ahead and gave themselves that? What do you feel about it?
Well, when they found out about the excess, most of that, the majority of that, the lion's share of that, let's put it that way, was not spent. Was pushed into next year to say, we'll figure out what to do with that next year. So so from where I see it, I don't think that was the motivation. I believe the governor said it really well, right? That if this was something that they were truly going to use for in-district expenses, and the voters in district felt like that was happening, then you could make the decision on if it was money well spent. And he said, it's, everybody should keep a close eye on how the money is being used. He said, and I was kind of shocked, and it was almost 40 years since they've had any increase in in-district expenses. But on the other hand, I mean, I knew when I ran for a position how much that position paid. And so it wasn't something that, was sprung on me later.
Right.
And so you have that argument. But I do think Bill Taylor out of Aiken, he actually proposed a bill that's going to hit next year. I believe it'll run through committee and then come out, basically saying that there should be a committee not made up of legislators, because I think it always seems bad when somebody gives themselves a raise, right? Like, it just, the way it comes off doesn't ever feel
it's very bad. It's very badly, and there is no accountability for that in-district expense. That is part of my problem with it. I know what the governor said, if they've got a home office, if they've got that, I know all that. But where's the proof? If they want to spend it on whatever, they can. And so there is no accountability. There's no report that has to be turned in that says, okay, this is what I spent the money on.
Well, and I think that's where you saw a lot of legislators saying, listen, this just feels funny to me. And so Speaker Smith gave them the ability to opt out,
right,
if they didn't want it. And I think what that does is it puts the responsibility on the elected official to show their constituents how they're using the money, right? I mean, if constituents want to see something, I think they should ask people, that they elect. And I think that's what the governor was getting on, is that, if you don't feel, if you don't see, if they're not being transparent, if you don't think it's being good, you elect everybody. You elect every single one of us into office, right? And that is where everybody is judged at the voting booth. And so,
is it right?
So, yeah, it was, but
is it right, Pam, for it to
where
become effective on the 1st of July, though, or should it have waited to a new term?
Exactly. Anything that I've ever advocated for that I thought would help enhance the lieutenant governor's office, I have always said, let it be done for the next group, for the next person.
Right.
Right.
I
never wanted it to seem self-serving, but that is exactly how I have operated. But like I was getting to, I think this proposed bill that Bill Taylor dropped to basically say there should be a third party not made up of people in the General Assembly, that when like we do, like Marsha Adams with our admin department, when the governor said, hey, I want you to look nationwide and look at what are law enforcement making? What is the average salary? Are we paying our people right?
Sure.
And that went through a third party, and I think that was the point that Bill Taylor was trying to do, which I always think makes people feel better, right? That somebody looked at it, it wasn't anybody that was benefiting from it, and so I'm hoping in the future that if that comes to be, and then we can put these kind of unsettling things to rest, because if there's anything we all want to feel good about, it's the tax dollars that we send into government. And that's why, and you and I have talked about it now a few times, why I think that Doge becomes so important. Now, Doge is now just the word everybody's using to identify it. I just used to call it being efficient, right? Where you ran things well, and you made sure that you used technology to make your customers happy. Customers, in my case now, isn't the private sector, it's all of you, the voters. And so, I think that is probably the best thing to do. And I'm hoping we'll see that happen so that we never have one of these uncomfortable end of session things happen again. It never is good, right? Because what we don't like, and you and I have talked about this, is everybody pitting against each other within our own party. So, I'm thinking that's a really good resolution, and I hope that we see that. And and that everybody, but like I said, everybody who felt like, hey, I'm not going to let it benefit me this term. We'll go through an election cycle and let it see they were able to opt out of it. And
Right.
I think if it's something that really, if like you feel strongly about, I mean, meaning your listeners, and obviously you feel strong about it, that you reach out to your reps and your senators and ask them if they have opted out of this or for this session or not. And then let them tell you what their thoughts are on it.
Right. Well,
I don't get in district expenses. So, I don't really I don't have a dog in that fight. So, but yeah.
Well, there is a lawsuit that has been filed that's supposed to go directly to the Supreme Court, South Carolina Supreme Court, before the 1st of July. So it'll be interesting to see how that fares in front of our South Carolina Supreme Court, right?
Well, absolutely. And I really think the world of our new Chief Justice Kittredge. He is a man of great integrity. He is a constitutionalist. And I think if there is anything that was inappropriate about that, Justice Kittredge will root it out. So I think we should all feel good. And every time somebody brings up the Supreme Court, I really do like to tip my hat to him, because I've met a lot of people in my day, and he is somebody that has just always struck me to have the utmost integrity. So I feel like we're in very capable hands with him.
Yeah. Well, I just, if they had left it, in fact, when the Senate did that, I'll just say this, when the Senate did that, I was like, well, that's okay. The House didn't take it up. It'll have to wait till next year. So I was like, okay with it. And then from right out of left field comes, conference committee. Yes, let's do it. So the optics on it, regardless of how you feel about it, the optics were horrible. And I don't think that the group that was in that conference committee must have really thought that through, because it just does not look good. So.
Well, and I think everything these days is optics. And I think it's something we have to be mindful of, because we see so much, right? We have a way of connecting with everybody so much. So I think optics is really important. And how are things looking? And can you, even if there is a good reason, if it all looks bad, it's really hard to get people on your side. I completely agree with you.
Absolutely. So out of the budget, was there anything that you were really happy that was in the budget? We'll just take and flip it now.
Yes, I'm gonna be very happy about the fact that we had a teacher pay increase yet
Right.
again. We wanted to get to 50,000. We're at 48.5. So I believe our campaign promises to get new teacher starting salaries to $50,000 by the end of our term will happen next year. We can see it. We can see the end of the finish line. I'm also happy that the money was given that we requested for school resource officers, certified school resource officers. Children are our most precious gift, and we have got to make sure that they feel safe in school so that they can learn. Their parents feel safe that they're in school so that they can be at work. Our teachers feel safe in the classroom. And so I'm very proud of what we did with that. More money going to our roads and bridges, really putting an emphasis on bridges. The governor and I talking a lot about how our bridges have gotten to an age that a lot of them are under weight restriction. This was causing a lot of problems for our manufacturers and our logging community, having to be rerouted. So really putting an emphasis on infrastructure. And that is always something that we all agree on, right? I mean, no matter where we are, we all agree we want our roads and bridges to be better. And so,
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that, in our executive budget, we had about 80% of the things that the governor and I felt really strongly about hit our budget this year. So once again, it shows when you have an executive branch and a legislative branch that work together. I mean, this was the lowest amount of vetoes in the state's history.
Well,
and I think that's a big
any...
testament to working together.
Yeah, but there also weren't any earmarks in it. So that right there reduced the number of things that he could veto, correct?
Absolutely. The governor and I have always said, if you feel strongly enough to try to put something for your district in the budget, then make it transparent, right? So that everybody can see it, you can justify it, nobody feels like anything was hidden. And that has been a big chunk of our vetoes over the years.
Exactly.
Is, hey, this was not, talked about, this is not very transparent. I'm not seeing this. A lot of times you see things going through agencies, and the governor and I have always been very thorough about looking at those things. So if something was going in through an agency and an agency didn't request it, the governor would veto it. And we didn't see any of that this year either. So, the session always closing with some kind of bang, right? Wouldn't it be nice if it could have just closed with, we had no earmarks, we had very little vetoes, we ended up passing a tort reform bill, we passed an energy bill, and we got even closer to school choice. Could have been a lot. Could have sailed smooth into the summer, right, Ann?
Right. Well, speaking of that, what do you think about the tort reform bill? Do you think the liquor liability, the tort, that's the one we're talking about. What do you think? Do you think that is enough? Or I've heard a lot of our legislators say, well, we need to go back and do more. Where do you stand on this, Pamela?
Oh, we need to go back and do more. And the one thing I feel confident about is we will, because as the governor signed that bill, President Alexander, Speaker Smith, the governor, myself, all agreed that this was just a first step. And when you get that kind of buy-in in both chambers and the executive branch, then you can feel good that next year we are going to come back and make more changes. And what I have to, what I've been telling people about that, because everybody is, they're happy we moved the ball. They're happy we got rid of liquor liability. We now moved it to a higher bar with willful want and neglect. We hope this will give relief to our businesses. I always tell people, you know how you eat an elephant, and you eat them one bite at a time.
Right.
And a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, people were telling me, Lieutenant Governor, the General Assembly will never bring a bill like that to the floor. And we did. So I think we have to savor the win that we have, that we made changes, we made positive changes. Everybody agrees we need to come back next year and do more. Senator Johnson from the Rock Hill area took to the podium and basically said next year we have to really focus on DUI laws. And we have to really tighten up our DUI laws on top of, looking at what else we can do to give relief on tort reform. So I don't think it's enough. I'm glad we started the ball rolling, and I'm very encouraged that everybody is on the same team of all agreeing we need to do more.
Sure. Well, and then, of course, there is the thing I thought that was a little disappointing is the insurance companies, they didn't give anything. So I worry about futuristically. What do you think that we are going to get more insurance companies into this state? And are they going to, because the rates are going up every time we turn around. Every time your insurance, your car insurance, it goes up. House insurance, all of these are going up. And yet the economy, the inflation and everything is starting to tip down. So what do you think about what's happening there with our insurance agencies?
So, I came from the business world.
Yep.
And I dealt with insurance companies on all different levels, whether it be general liability, whether it be auto, whether it be health. And the key to getting rates down is to get more insurance companies into your market.
Correct.
Right? So what I was telling legislators is, listen, what you want to do is create an environment where you get really strong middle market carriers that want to come into our state. Because when that happens, what they're going to look at is the best customers, right? And they're going to give better deals, and they're going to try to take the cream of the crop away from carriers that are already here. And when that happens, then the carriers that are already here, they're going to start going, well, wait a minute, all of our good customers are getting scooped up by, let's say, Farmers Insurance. I'm just throwing that out there because they are a really good middle market carrier. And so, now all of a sudden they're going, well, wait a minute, I got to get these good customers back. And that's what starts organically bringing down rates, right? And that's what you have to do. You have to create an environment in your state where everybody wants to come and play ball. And when that happens, good, solid competition kicks in, and you start to see rates go down. So by taking on tort reform, and I want to say, I'm going to give a big shout out to our hospitality and our restaurateurs, because they came to the table and said, listen, we are going to make sure we educate our waiters and our bartenders and our waitresses better. We're going to make sure that we're scanning IDs. They're taking steps too that are going to give insurance carriers a reason to give them breaks.
Right.
And so, you know, I think this, once again, you can look at it. If you look at it, you know, from all sides, everybody came to the table to try to solve this problem. And so I think we're not thanking, you know, again, our restaurateurs enough, because they kind of said, hey, we're going to come in and do our part too to drive down these rates and give carriers a reason to come into our state and work. And so I say thank you to them. But I do believe that every step we take is going to create competition, and competition lowers prices.
Well, have we seen any movement on any insurance companies coming back to South Carolina or coming to South Carolina, period?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. You know, we just kind of signed that, and you know, it'll take a while for people, you know, to kind of circle around and then kind of look at what that bill did, and doesn't make it an environment that is, you know, ripe for coming into playing. And I said, that's every time we do something pro business, it helps everybody. And I think getting, you know, when we talk about like the number one insurance that affects everybody, it is car insurance, right?
Yes.
Everybody has a car. Some have two. And so, you know, you want to make sure, I think when we start putting an emphasis on DUI, that starts piquing insurance companies going, well, wait a minute, if they're going to have tougher DUI laws, that means there's going to be less collisions, it's going to be less fatalities. Oh, this is something we want to start looking at. So I think everything we do that creates an environment that's safer and it makes insurance companies want to come in and do business.
Well, I mean, yep, all of that is true, because competition always drives an economy, particularly when you've got an open economy. So,
Exactly.
What else you want to talk about this morning, Pamela? Evette, you want to make an announcement right here on the radio this morning?
Well, I want to tell you that I had a great town hall. I've had 3 town halls. That's my announcement. I did a town hall in Charleston last night. It was a packed house. I think some people were kind of like wedged in the doorway, and people are very happy in what they're seeing in general. I think they're worried about, you know, like some of this unrest that they're seeing across the country. They last night were looking for reassurance, and my reassurance to them was that here in South Carolina, we are a law and order state. And when riots were breaking out all over the country, we did not see that kind of behavior here in our state because we don't tolerate it. Chief Keel, local law enforcement, all work together. They will be on top of any protests that are being planned for the weekend. And I feel very confident that our law enforcement is going to keep us all safe through Saturday, where some of these protests are.
Right.
But other than that, everybody's kind of focused on energy, on Trump's wins, on the big, beautiful bill. I think that was another big bill that we passed that is going to make South Carolina even stronger, is our energy bill. You know, and with what the president is doing with Secretary Zeldin at the federal level, cutting regulations, this is great news for South Carolina, because energy has to be top on our mind. And if we want to continue to keep, you know, that was a hot button when the Biden administration was in. We saw what not having good control on energy generation did for us as a nation, not just our state.
Sure.
How, you know, grocery store prices went up, and electricity prices went up, and gas prices. I mean, everything went up, and that impacted every single American. And so that was a big win this year in South Carolina, is setting ourselves up for the resurrection of BC Summer, for making sure that we are in a good spot, that as President Trump and, again, Secretary Zeldin gets rid of useless regulation, we can concentrate on transmission around our state and have our state come to a point where we can sell energy to neighboring states. So I'm very excited and hopeful for what that's going to do for us.
Absolutely. You know, do you have any idea, though? This is a question that bugs me. Do you have any idea why the price of gas goes up and down the way it does? I mean, one day it's $2.52, $2.53 in our area. 3 days later, it's $2.67, $2.76. Why do we get such vast swings? I thought that was probably over since Trump was in office. Do you know why that happens?
So, you know, now I'm giving you something that I read about years ago when it came to gas prices. Remember when gas prices first started going up?
Right.
Is that gas is a commodity, and so based on how it's traded, that's how oil companies buy it, and it's pricing. The pricing changes because the pricing on the open market changes. So that's why you see those fluctuations. When oil is where the world is producing more oil and there's more on the open market, prices drive down because it's a commodity. When people, that's why they were talking about OPEC. Remember years ago, OPEC was the key word to oil.
Sure.
When OPEC would shut down production, prices would start to go up because it's a commodity on the open market. The amount of oil being traded was less. So that's where you see those spikes in oil. That's what I read, and it sounded like it made a lot of common sense. So I'm going to go with that unless somebody knows something better. I like to go with common sense. If I can read an article and I can follow it, I think it makes good common sense. I kind of go, okay, I think somebody is not trying to pull my leg.
Yeah, I just was, before Memorial Day, prices went way down. Then after Memorial Day, we had I guess that's called the post-Memorial Day bump. Because the prices, they really jumped. I mean, it was kind of unbelievable. But anyways, basically they are better. But just when you see these bumps and you're going, what the heck's going on? All right. Well, anyways, that's a good topic. When are you gonna come to Greenwood and be on the air with me here in studio? That's what I want to know.
Oh my goodness! Send me an invite, and I'll try to make it for a Thursday morning where I can come and sit with you and talk.
Well, all right.
We just gotta come up with a date. You don't have to twist my arm really hard to get me to Greenwood.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna see about doing that then. And what other things are you kind of slid on my comment about are you making an announcement this morning? I guess you'd rather make it in studio. I get it, Pam.
You journalists, you are relentless. I love it. I always got to wake up every morning and be tip top on my toes.
Yeah, that's right. But anything else you'd like to tell us here this morning? I always appreciate you calling in and keeping us updated here in Greenwood. And I certainly hope that as you travel around the state and you're looking at everything, that you're looking very positively on your next step. There you go. How about I say it that way?
Well, thank you, and that is very kind of you. And I've so enjoyed. I mean, we've been doing this now for 7 years, Ann.
Right.
And I love Greenwood. I mean, definitely love the college. I'm a big supporter and fan, and President Constantine is very near and dear to my heart. And so many. If I started listing all the names of the people that I feel so close to in Greenwood, I would probably miss somebody and hurt somebody's feelings. So I'm just going to say I have so many friends in Greenwood that you guys have a very special place in my heart. So I can't wait. I think I'm gonna talk to Saluda, and we're gonna schedule one entire day in Greenwood, and we'll walk around and see all the new things going on, and then I'll come and sit in studio with you.
How about that? That would be great. Hey, I need to say a big congratulations. Your youngest son just graduated, right, from high school?
He did. Jackson is off to Clemson. He decided that architecture was going to be his major, so he was accepted into the architecture program there.
Wow.
And we are just over the moon for him. That's something he has talked about for a number of years. And you know, just like in true 18-year-old boy form, when he found out it was 6 years, he kind of got nervous by it because 6 years seems like a lot of time when you're 18. But he decided to follow his passion and not let that scare him away. And so we're really proud of him and excited to see what the future holds for him. So, you know, my oldest passed the bar, and she is now practicing in Greenville, and Jackson got into the architecture program. Joey is happy in his career, in his life. I feel like all my chicks are set and happy, and that makes a mom feel really good.
I think that's great. Well, Pamela Evette, from the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of South Carolina, soon to make an announcement right here on WCRS Radio. Keep having good town halls, and we'll be looking forward to that announcement right here.
Thanks so much, Ann. Everybody have a great weekend. I look forward to my day in Greenwood.
All right. You have a good one. Thank you so much, Pam. Bye-bye.
Take care, Ann. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that was Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette right here on WCRS Radio. Have we had enough politics this week? That's what I want to know. We've had Alan Wilson, David Stumbo, and now we just had Pamela Evette. Yesterday afternoon, we had Kathy Miller and Mark Allison. What a week. This afternoon, coming up on Meet Me at the Diner, we're going to change course and talk about what? We are going to be talking about trauma and homelessness and how it all affects and fits together with Anthony Price of Pathway House. Always love talking to him. Love the fact that we're able to understand why people that have had homes, and I think this is one of the things that we always miss, people that have had homes have been successful. The trauma comes back to them. They may be childhood trauma. There's so many different aspects of it. And all of a sudden, they can't cope. And so part of what Pathway does is sets a path, goals that they make, and then helps them achieve their goals to becoming sustainably independent and on the path to success. So many times we seem to think that it's only people that have never owned a home, never been successful, never this, that, and the other. And what you find is that's not exactly true. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with Anthony Price this afternoon on WCRS 5 to 6. Now, many of you reached out to me yesterday about the interview I did with Councilwoman Kathy Miller and Councilman Mark Allison. I think that interview was pivotal in the fact that it showed some of the issues that need to be addressed in county council. And I think that the very fact that they came on the air and talked about these issues is maybe a really good thing for Greenwood to be able to pull back the curtain a little bit and see what's going on. Now, I do want you to know, next Thursday, we are going to have County Manager Toby Chappell and Chairman Theo Lane of County Council will be with us right here on the radio. So if you have questions or if anything piqued your attention out of the interview that we did with Kathy Miller and Mark Allison, I hope you will let me know so that I can have those as questions. Not to say anything, but, you know, it takes I will say, and I appreciate all the kudos that I got for it. It takes a lot of work to do that. I mean, I'm just going to say that. I don't think I can handle more than what I've handled this week as far as getting ready for interviews. So I appreciate each and every comment. But one of the things is we have to hold them accountable. We have to make sure that they are doing the things that you want. And how do you do this? Well, one of the ways is you keep in contact with your county council representatives, and you keep in contact with your city council and the school board. Oh my God, the school board there. They are your school board members need to hear from you. Just because you vote for somebody and put them in the office and then you never give them your opinion, they never reach out to you because they don't think that you're interested, is part of the problem. So reach out to those county council, reach out to your city council, reach out to your school board people, let them know what you're thinking, be engaged in the process. And that is really what I try to do when it comes to the political side of what we deal with right here on the I Love Ann show and Meet Me at the Diner. I would ask that I think that the interview that we did yesterday was a pivotal interview. I would ask that if you are a Facebook person, if you will like and share it so that other people will know about this, I think that would be a really, really good thing to do. It's good for me because it shows good content and it shows that what we do right here on WCRS is important. But more important than all of that is the information that was in that interview yesterday afternoon. I thought Mark Allison, with his passion of being a taxpayer first and a councilman second, is an important point because we all are taxpayers and we're all concerned where our dollars go. So I think that's one important point. Discussing how the money is spent, how much money, how is the money put in the budget, what happens to money that's, quote, just sitting there and we may not use it. Should money be sitting in a budget waiting to see how much we use? Or is the amount of money that is put in a budget just mean, okay, we're going to spend it? I think that Kathy Miller made some very important points about if we need 6 firefighters and the sheriff has asked for 5 or 6, show me that these needs are real, because she said, and I'm paraphrasing, you can go back and watch the interview, you can listen to it. A lot of people on the Facebook Live like it, they don't actually watch it. I'm shocked that you don't, but anyways, they listen to it, and part of the good thing about that with Facebook Live is the fact you can go back, 5 minutes later, you can re-listen to it or you can listen to it for the first time. But And by the way, by the end of next week, we will be putting we already are, but we will be live on YouTube to be able to go back. We aren't going to do live, but we will be putting each interview right after it airs, or that evening, it will go to YouTube and you'll be able to watch it on YouTube too. So that is real close. By the end of next week, I think, is what our target date is for that. But back to my point that Kathy Miller, Councilwoman Kathy Miller, who spent a year, I think it was over a year and a half seems to come to mind to me, on being in the treasurer's office, knowing how things work in the treasurer's office, is really a big plus, for our community. Her questioning mind is a big plus, and the very fact that she has questions, this thing about adding, as Mark Allison said, I think it would have been about a $500,000 ask if they had put a assistant county manager in the mix. Now, Toby Chappell has said that we don't need that, so he has pulled back on that. But that's because people were questioning things. That's because people were questioning things. I think that Kathy, what I wanted to make, Kathy's point, and I really hope you go back and watch this. Don't take my word for it. Go back and watch or listen. That if we need more sheriff's officers, if we really need firefighters, show me, prove it to me, and we will find a way to make it happen. If, however, we're just saying that this is good, or maybe one group is more popular than the other group, and it's a popularity contest, then no, that's not where we should be. Mark Allison kind of believes we should hold the line on this year's budget, see where the economy goes. There are so many, and he is absolutely right, so many unknowns. Prudent business people are taking it slow. They're not just running ahead. They're taking it slow. They're watching. They're seeing. We do have 2 wars going on. Are those going to be resolved anytime soon? What is the effect of the tariffs? All these things are possibilities of things that could screw things up. I should have asked Lieutenant Governor about the tourist industry, because one of the things that I have read is that with the tariffs, people coming from Canada could affect what our tourism dollars coming in. Of course, that affects our local economy, but it also affects our statewide economy. But anyways, the bottom line is we, the people, it is our money. And I agree with our 2 council people that were here yesterday. We should wait and see. However, if there really is a need that would need to be funded this year, then we need to know, and the agencies need to prove it. So that's just my take on it. I would love your take on it, 864-229-7984. You know, I would always love to hear from you. Sometimes when you're in the midst of doing these interviews and everything, it is a little hard to for me to answer all the questions. I try. And I do want to make sure that you all know you can always call and leave a message. I like the text line because the text line gives me more immediate access. But 864-229-7984. That's 864-229-7984. Please make sure that you are letting me know what you think. If there's a piece of information I need to be aware of, if there's something you want me to investigate, hey, let's talk about it. Give me a hotline tip. You can also go to my WCRS info@gmail.com and contact me if you need something that has more information. But let me know. I can't do anything if I don't know. I can't bring it to light. There's not much I can do other than bring it to light. All right. So anyways, that's I just wanted to say that. So please go back. Help this Facebook Live go viral by liking and sharing it and getting it out there. And let's see what effect it will have. As I said, next Thursday, Toby Chappell, who I believe is, I don't know if I think he's headed with his daughter and his wife to Plano, Texas. His daughter is on one of the teams that is vying for the championship. I also want you to know that during this time where they are going to be down in Texas, we have three teams out there from our soccer teams that are going there. I think that is just so terrific that they are going to be there. They are going to be enjoying it. A big write-up in the Index Journal yesterday. But we are going to have a video blog that is going to be sent to us every day, and we're going to play it live. Well, not live. We're going to play the video live right here on Facebook Live. So the Lakeland's Toros Thursday, the 2009, 2010, and 2011 and 2012 girls teams, as well as the 2006, 2007 boys teams will head to Plano, Texas in hopes of capturing the regional tournament championship. If any of them, or bless it, all of them, if they all won, they would then be going to Florida. So this is huge. Let's take it one step at a time. This is huge. So I think it's really exciting, really, really exciting. I will say in that article, we did find out that Jonathan Bass was wearing a specific T-shirt and underwear, and when he was wearing all three of the games, and I guess he's going to be wearing those down there in Texas, because I know he wants to be a winning coach with his girls. I do know that Jonathan really wants the girls to have a great experience down there, and we all hope that they have a great experience. They have a lot of opportunity at this game, but the biggest thing they need to do is just get out there and play well and garner the experience. This is the 2011-2012 girls. It'll be their first time there. I think I'm right on this. The 2009 and 2010 girls have been before, but this will be their first experience. So I know they are giddy beyond effect. So I wish our Lakeland's Toros Soccer Club participants all the best. So let's make sure, and I am thrilled that they are going to be sending us, the girls and guys, I don't know, the girls team I know is going to be sending us videos on their experience in Plano, Texas. So that's going to be pretty exciting. All right, now in other news, a couple of topics I did want to cover real quick. Today is the day, am I right on this? I believe so. They're going to hold a public town hall in Greenwood today, Thursday, to gather information on a $150 million recovery plan aimed at helping South Carolina communities rebound from Hurricane Helene's long-term impacts. The South Carolina Office of Resilience. I wonder if I could... Can I get it? Can you give me some resilience? I'm asking for some resilience. I'm kind of thinking of the Wizard of Oz when I say that. And what do you need, Ann Eller? I need resilience. There you go. The South Carolina Office of Resilience will present a draft action plan outlining how the state intends to use $150.3 million in federal disaster relief funds awarded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The meeting is scheduled for 6 to 8 at the Arts Center in Uptown Greenwood today. Residents from any South Carolina county may attend. The South Carolina Office of Resiliency's disaster case management team will be on hand to assist survivors with ongoing financial, physical, or emotional needs stemming from the 2023 storm. Individuals can contact the team directly via the statewide hotline at 803-898-2511. That's 803-898-2511. So that's going on from 6 to 8. If you have, number one, if you have damage that hasn't been resolved, this is probably a good opportunity to be at that meeting tonight, 6 to 8 at the Arts Center in Uptown Greenwood. And if you're interested in how they plan to take care of some of the issues and whatnot that we're dealing with, I think that would be a good reason to be there. I thought I was going to get a night off. I may have to go check that one out. All right, so that's going on. Also, Duke Energy plans a natural gas plant in Anderson County. Duke Energy is planning to build a new 1,400 megawatt natural gas power plant in Anderson County. Its first proposal for new electricity generation in South Carolina in a decade. That was announced on Monday. So the facility could begin operation by early 2031. The plant would be built on roughly 200 acres near Highway 81 South and True Temper Road, about 5 miles north of Star. It's expected to serve the growing energy need of homes, businesses, and industries across the state, drawing on existing transmission infrastructure. That is a good thing. That is a good thing. If there's anything that we should be trying to do is get our energy, but I also think our grid. We are very vulnerable with our grid. If somebody takes out the grid, what happens to South Carolina? What happens to the nation? And truthfully, they may be having discussions about this, and maybe it's just something that's not public, but I think that that is one of the big things that we should be being worried about. So, anyways, I would just like to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in right here on WCRS. Thanks so much for viewing the videos. Thanks for sharing them and liking them and making a difference in your community right here in Greenwood, South Carolina. I may be the voice of Greenwood. No. I am the voice of Greenwood, but it's only because of y'all's support and your interest and your caring about our community. So, with that being said, thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow morning, we'll be talking about things going on in our community. We'll try to catch up on some of the news that we didn't catch up on today. So please tune in tomorrow morning at 9:30. I'll be going live. I usually try to go live. I usually try to come on about 9:15, 9:20. It just depends how quickly Miss Penny does her business, if you get my drift. Anyways, last note, don't forget this afternoon, Pathway House will be joining us. You know, if you just think about where Pathway House started and where they are today, wow. And they've done it all without any government funding at all. Totally independent. That is huge. So tune in this afternoon, 5 to 6. I'll be here. I hope you'll join me right here on the radio and on Facebook Live. Remember, please like and share the video from yesterday to get it out there so more people will see it and have an opportunity to look at what Kathy Miller and Mark Allison were talking about for our county government. And make sure you put it on your calendar for next Thursday when County Manager Toby Chappell will sit across from me, as well as Theo Lane, Chairman. That's going to do it for me. I hope y'all have a great day. I'll be back at 5 and alive, ready for another show. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody. Take it away. There we go. Are we ready to be done? We're ready to be done this morning. Bye-bye, everybody.